going to start today with Jane from Morrisville. And her question is, how do I know what a healthy weight loss goal is for me? And how many calories should I be eating? So, it's kind of two questions there.
Yeah, I think the first one, we do get that a lot. What should I weigh? Is my goal reasonable? And honestly, from an obesity medicine specialist standpoint, 5 to 10% body weight loss is considered significant. So if you're 200 pounds, that would be 10 to 20 pounds of weight loss. Okay, that is not typically as much as folks want, or they believe they need to go off of what we consider the BMI scale, which is a population-wide measurement based on your height and your weight. And there's different categories. So a BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 is considered a healthy weight. 25 to 29.9 is considered to have overweight or pre-obesity. And then 30 and above is considered to have obesity. That is not always what drives us to help people set goals or achieve goals. Although on the internet, you will find that is the most common thing, is get your BMI either under 30 or under 25. For a lot of patients looking to lose weight, that is not a realistic or necessary goal. 5 to 10% is fantastic, Jane. So wherever you're at now, if you're able to lose just 5% of your body weight, so many significant health improvements will be achieved from that. If you want to lose some more than that, that's okay, but it's not absolutely necessary, right? At that point, we're looking at comfort and maintainability, because sometimes the weight that we want to get to is not as achievable as a weight that we can maintain long term, because of the level of restriction that we're going to have to live with in order to stay that lower weight that we had our mind set on.
That's right. I'm not a big fan of the BMI. I think the BMI was intended initially to be a population assessment tool to be applied to populations rather than to individuals. And at the time this happened, there really wasn't an agreed upon definition of what obesity and overweight was and so forth. So organizations just picked up that ball despite the caution not to apply it to individuals and started applying it to individuals. Now, the way I explain it to patients is, you never look at another species of animal and use this sort of reasoning. This sort of reasoning is like, Star Wars. Stormtroopers are all the same size. They're robots, right? But people and dogs, for example, don't. They come in different sizes, right? So you would never look at the Saint Bernard and say, hey, you're way bigger than the Labradoodle, so you got to lose some weight. Right? You see what I'm saying? It's
meant to be.
We say, okay, now the Saint Bernard is supposed to be a big dog. Now we don't want them to be overweight for that kind of breed, right? So people come in different shapes and sizes, and I think that you make a really good point about talking about what medically significant weight loss is. So Michelle made the comment about 5 and 10% of your weight. Now you can always do more than that. Okay, you'll know what's right for you. In most cases, you'll know. I always say that the moment comes when you're standing in your underwear in front of the mirror one morning, you're like, oh, I've arrived. And really it's hard because of body types to know exactly what that weight's going to be for a lot of people. But the really medically significant stuff is, 5. We've had a couple of organizations batting around the idea of 5 or 10% of body weight loss and what that does in terms of cutting your risk of developing diabetes or high blood pressure, that sort of thing. And it's significant. It's over 50%. So Michelle makes a point, you don't have to lose a lot of weight to be healthy, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
And there's a second part of that, which I think is never said, which I like to say, which is if you gain 5 or 10%, this is what brings it on. And when you look at it like that, you're like, okay, this is, heretofore in the medical community, what's happened is we wait till people get really overweight and they're beset by these problems. And then we say, hey, let's intervene. That's letting the horse out of the barn and then trying to send a bunch of people out to round him up, right? Why don't you never let the horse get out of the barn in the first place? History is going to judge us harshly on this, okay? We should be intercepting people when they are 1 pound overweight, okay? When they start to gain weight, when they come in and say that, that's when we should be intervening. And that's how we get out of the current population problem that we have in terms of things like diabetes and these sorts of diseases, they start somewhere, and we ought to be intercepting that stuff really early on. And we currently don't do that. Michelle and I will do that, but as a medical community, we've not embraced that stuff yet.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. That's absolutely true. And Candace has a wonderful point. A lot of patients do feel this way, that BMI is like medical shaming. And unfortunately, it has turned into that. Mm-hmm. It really has. There is a stigma. It is on your chart. Your insurance company knows when your BMI is over 30. And it really is a mark that will work against you in a lot of ways when it gets documented. So the fact that we still use that scale, we don't look at individuals, and we're using this population-wide thing, is something that will need to change. But as of right now, we, in our practice, we shoot for the 5 to 10%. We also use body composition scales, so we can look at not just your weight, which is more like your relationship to gravity, but rather your body composition, your body fat percentage, where you carry that body fat, right? Because we know a lot of linebackers have a BMI of over 30. That's right. They're huge, but they're solid muscle. So in their medical chart, they have a documentation of having obesity, but they do not have any of the health risks associated with it. Same with small individuals who are, Dr. Lawrence, or the Lawrence, I was like, my hearse is running wild. Come back in. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. But,
that's right. Time to get back in the barn.
Exactly. But we really want to go off of the body fat, because we even have thin, lean-looking individuals that have a high body fat percentage, and they have a very high risk for heart disease, diabetes, right? Other metabolic disorders. So we really want to treat the individual, and that is what we do really well here at Dr. Simonds' office. Is we treat each individual as they need to be treated. We will set a goal with you. So if you really don't know or you're not sure, let us help. That's what we're here for.
So the second part of her question, which I see in some other questions here, has to do with calories. How many calories should I be eating? And look, I think you need to understand that starvation does in fact work. Okay, no one dies obese during a famine. They don't die obese, right? So calorie restriction will cause you to lose weight, and eventually you die. Okay, when you have starvation. So just think of calorie restriction as a controlled form of that. Okay. Now, what you eat matters. Okay. So calories aren't equal. All right. Radical calorie restriction will produce weight loss, but some calorie restriction and then saying, well, the calorie from the Twinkies is the same as the calories from the piece of meat or the vegetables.
We know that.
Yes. Correct. That's exactly right. So to me, it's about calories and content, right? And when you're eating the right content, you can have more calories. Because there's another question down here. It's actually the last question. Peter from Raleigh, he talks about tracking his calories and still being hungry. And so what I would say, the way out of that, in addition to coming to see us and getting some medicine that will help control your hunger, right? We can help you with that, Peter. But the other way to deal with that is to eat the right content. And when you do that, you can have more calories and still lose weight just fine. I always say animals, what comes from animals and what you grow in gardens, there's your way out of it. And if you're eating that way, you generally don't have to track any calories.
Candace is saying that she feels the same way about the horse being at the barn. It can be embarrassing. We are here to help.
That's right.
You are not alone. A lot of folks feel exactly.
The good news is I don't have to run out and chase you down like a horse, right? Like a horse. You can just come back.
Just walk in our office.
The door's open. Yeah. And to me, I've always had to manage my weight. I just try to set up a practice where you're never going to get judged for anything. Yeah. Because once you're beyond the idea that you're perfect, then it's okay. You can just come in and we can help you, right?
Yes. No such thing as perfect. We all got our flaws. Some of us carry it on the outside, and unfortunately that leaves society with an open invitation to judge, and that's not okay, and we need to change that. But a lot of us have our own demons. We just don't wear it on the outside. But here it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're wearing inside, outside. We are going to meet you where you're at. We are going to make you feel safe, trusted, and listened to. And that's really, really important. If you haven't got that other places, you will never, ever, ever expect to get that from us. I
Yeah.
assure you of that. Okay. So the how many calories should I be eating? I will just touch on that, Jane's second question. That is also something that we can help you with, right? Part of what we do here with the body composition scan is we can actually see, roughly estimate what your basal metabolic rate is. And I will tell you, even though we have those machines and there are fancy calculations, most of the time, right, you will find this on the internet, women are eating to lose weight between 1,000 and 1,200, maybe 1,000 and 1,400 with an average of about 1,200 calories. But the quality of those calories really matters, just like Dr. Simon said. And men is usually more between maybe 15 and 2,000, right? Depending, right? A lot of them are eating 1,500 to 1,600 to lose weight. That's not a general blanket, but that's just an idea, Jane, and for you, Peter, as well, who asked some really good questions about helping with cravings and still being hunger with calories. Protein calories are what to prioritize, okay? Good question.